Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to another episode for Neos Land, the Kickstarter. This is an official roundtable, and the topic today is combat systems. Now, this is going to go a little bit different than some of the other roundtables that we've done because we're going to hammer out a solution here, and so here's how this format's going to go. First hour, we're going to talk about combat systems. Second hour, we're going to talk about combat skills. And then I'm going to give you some very specific instructions on how this is going to go. And then tomorrow, the plan is that we're going to do the evaluation and the approval of this with Jacques, who's the CEO of Neos Land, tomorrow. For those of you watching live. If you're watching on YouTube Land, well, just wait another couple videos and it'll be on. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining on this hangout today.
Hello.
What up?
What up? Yeah. So, okay. So let me just tell you kind of the ground rules on this. So this, a lot of our roundtables have been very, very free form, and this one we're going to try and stay really succinct on the topic. And the reason is because combat is such a huge topic. And I mean, there's so many different things we could talk about with combat. And so really what this is going to turn into is probably around 10 roundtables to identify all these different sections. But we got to start right at the very beginning, combat at its source, which is, how do we fight? So, I'm going to start off with saying that as you notice, Jacques is not here, and nor any of the other developers, and so they are not invited to these roundtables. And the reason is because we want to brainstorm without their preconceived conceptions of how things should be. And by doing that, we end up coming up with stuff that they never dreamed of. And they don't hold us back on that. And it's nothing against the guys because they're all great and everything, but it's just how we have it set up so that we get the most of what we want into the game. So, okay. Now, combat systems. I was only able to come up with a couple of different types, and so you guys and in chat, let me know if you think of any more. But really, it boils down to two types of system. One is kind of a free targeting, free form system, where I double click you and initiate an attack, or I hit tab and I initiate attack on you, or whatever. And then there's another kind, which is a card-based system, which we're starting to see in some of these games. And like Hearthstone is a card-based system, and Shroud of the Avatar is using a card-based system.
And card-based system.
What's that?
What is a card-based system? I've never seen
it's
it.
like playing Magic the Gathering, where where you have a deck of cards, and so to each match or round, you bring with you either a set of cards that you think is going to match up well against what you think your opponent will have, or in the case of like an MMO, it might be something where you say, okay, I'm going to go out adventuring, trying to slay dragons today, and another day I'm going out mining. You would have two different types of sets of cards. A mining set might be very defensive. And a dragon slaying set might be very offensive and have some special cards that are unique to slaying dragons. So these are the two types of systems that I've identified in existence. But I don't know, is there anything else? Is there any other kinds of systems like this?
What about action RPG?
Action RPG. And so what is action RPG as opposed, in combat?
Well, in original RPG, you select your target, then click one of your skills, while in action RPG, you just basically click a skill and if you hit the target, he gets damage. If not, he can dodge you, and so you miss.
And I think that would fall under the free targeting,
that.
free form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these, and we're talking really basic stuff here. We're not going to talk anything about what type of weapon we're carrying, or whether it's magic or hand-to-hand combat or anything. It's really about thinking about the progression of play through an interaction with another player or the environment on combat, on fighting it.
How would we see a card-based system in the game?
Well, it's my understanding that with Shroud of the Avatar, which is an RPG, and it's a multiplayer RPG, it's not massive, but it is a multiplayer RPG, and you can run into another person there, and you initiate combat, and it's turn-based. And so, I initiate combat with my screw you, I'm sticking you with a dagger card, and the other person turns around with their screw you, I'm going to hit you with my sword card. And then I bring out my card, screw you, I'm going to bring up my shield card. And until you're out of cards and the match is over with one person getting a win. It's a very different way of thinking.
Yeah, turn-based. Yeah.
It is turn-based, and it's a very different way of thinking. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring it up was because, not that I really want to see a card-based system in our game. I really don't think that it has a place in our game. But but I think that there are things that we can look at with this and maybe learn, and we can maybe it can be used in an advantage in part with what we're doing. So
maybe it can be used in gathering resources, like I don't know how to.
Yeah, I want to stick, and I'm going to keep bringing you guys back in. I know this is very difficult to try and not think in these huge, grand things, and so I'll keep bringing you guys back in because I have the same problem too. So I'm having to work really hard to do it.
Well, I think the turn-based system can definitely work. It's just a matter of, do we want to be able to have that all of the time, or do we want to have it in certain circumstances? For example, if somebody's trying to break into my home, I could have a turn-based kind of stuff, because you don't really, when somebody's breaking into my home, I don't want it to be an all-out war type deal, or maybe I do, I don't know. That's really going to be up to the community, right? But maybe it could be more of a turn-based style strategy kind of a deal, very similar to XCOM, something similar to that. But then when you get out into the world, you can turn it into an all-scale PvP action MMO type feel to it, where it's not tab targeting anymore. It's now, I shoot my fireball, but if you duck out of the way, well, now you've just dodged my attack. I think it could probably work something similar to that.
All right, well, let's
dodging a fireball.
let's bring it back down a little bit more base before we get to that stuff. And is there any other type of combat that you have ever seen in a game? There's like the free form, I attack you, you attack back, and it's a button mashing contest, as opposed to a turn-based, which could be done with like cards, or could just be, even turn-based skill set. Is there any other type?
In The Witcher, the first game of the Witcher series, you had this rhythm-based combos.
Rhythm-based combos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
And so explain what that is.
If you initiated your initial strike, a icon popped up, and then you had to hit for the second time in order to create a combo. And it also had different fighting styles. So you had a slow combo, which was really damaging, but you also had a fast combo, which was more for groups, etc.
Interesting. It still sounds kind of freeform, but maybe like multiple executions in one move type of thing.
Like a combo-based system, essentially.
Yeah. So it's almost like transferring or not transferring, but executing two moves in one shot.
Yeah,
Okay.
the card-based system seems very sort of slow, and is
Mhm.
it one target versus one target? Which means that if you come up against a group of orcs, say 6 orcs, are you going to spend 20 minutes just trying to take down these 6 orcs? Or can you just sort of swipe around for sort of 30 seconds in the free form and take them all out? That's my idea. Is if you have these big battles in PvP where you got 10 against 1 or 5 against 5, does each person have to pick a certain target and then have a card-based system between that? That seems very slow, and battles that should last a minute or two could last 20 minutes if you're sort of individually attacking each player.
I also think with the turn-based system, you're getting away from what we. Oh, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry.
Dog wins that PvP
Dog
battle.
always wins. 1 second.
Dog versus microphone.
I really don't
yeah.
think the turn-based system could effectively work in this game.
And what I was getting at was, you've given so much freedom to the player in this game, with building, crafting, just making your own name in the world. With a turn-based system, you're really restricting them to what they want to actually do on the battlefield.
Absolutely. And I'm not advocating that we put in a turn-based system. I'm just advocating that we look at it as one of the types of systems, and before we go into trying to choose what kind of system that we're going to use.
And that's what I'm saying. I think
But
it
I don't
will
know
work.
that there's any other choice. That's another thing.
I think it will work, though, in certain circumstances. I don't think that it should be all turn-based. I don't think it should all be, action. I don't think it should be tab targeting either. Because you're going to get those players that want to do tab targeting. You're going to get people that want to do the action. You're also going to get people that want to have the turn-based style of gameplay. So I think if we can figure out where each one of those belongs, then I think
really
it'll probably
satisfy
work.
everybody, though.
Yeah,
No,
we
of course
can't.
not.
We
And
can't.
that's the thing.
We have to have one primary.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, as you mentioned earlier about when someone's attacking a building, to have the card-based system there will be perfect. Because the person that has basically initiated the attack brings a set of cards along. The person defending 2 days earlier could have set up a set of, say, 8 cards that they have in respect to any attack. So therefore, you don't have to be online for your building to be defended if you have those cards. Therefore, they can be played out.
I think that actually, from everything that we've talked about, we already have talked about doing that because we're talking about a cards or whatnot, but really, we've talked about trap doors, trap chests, bugged items, these different things that might execute if somebody's breaking into your house. They're traps that you're setting, and those are your cards. And so I suppose that is one type of combat, and it's going to be different than a person-to-person combat. So maybe at least for this right here, we do need to focus on person-to-person. Right. And or where the humans are actually there controlling their environment.
I think the only place a card-based system should be in place is playing against somebody in a frickin' inn.
Okay, so forget about worrying about whether or not we're going to put in a card-based system. And let me ask the question: there's free targeting, free form, and there's card-based. What other kinds of combat systems are there?
Well, tab targeting would be
Well, tab
one.
targeting is freeform, isn't it?
No. No, tab targeting is literally I tab and I'm going to target that particular person and kill, like World of Warcraft.
I click on that person and I kill them.
You could do that as well, yes, but
it's the same thing where I hit tab 3 times and I move 3 over and I'm still...
You could, but if you take a look at Terra Online, for example, Terra Online is not tab targeting. It is literally free form, like you're saying. Mm-hmm. I don't have to tab over to that next person. I can literally just aim my cursor like an FPS.
Tab is a feature of combat. It is not a combat system.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's like a targeting feature. I think when you break it down to its simplest form, it really just comes down to what's going to be engaging for the player base. What's going to make them engage in the combat and want to continue to fight. And I think the freeform hack and slash is the way to go with this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, a full action MMO, I think, is probably, in my opinion, I think it's the best way to go.
So I think that maybe what we boiled down to is if we don't like the card-based system, we have no choice but to go with.
Well, there's
freeform.
dice.
You
Dice.
also have,
Dice
Okay.
roll system.
That's
oh,
So
my
I-
apologies.
okay. So let me just say about dice roll. That's something of chance. It might be another type. And then William, what were you saying?
Well, it has never been used in MMORPGs before, but what about those dreaded QuickTime systems where you have to press certain combos of buttons?
Oh, like when I'm playing Street Fighter in an Xbox game or something like that.
Dance Nation.
Dance
No,
Nation. Oh my God.
yeah.
Dance Dance Revolution.
I could see that happening with I'm going to take on a pig. I think Marky understands that. He was telling me a little story earlier. We
Oh
won't
my
get into
God.
that.
Okay, so I will tell you guys real quick. I tried combat today in the game. So I actually got into the game today. I wandered outside of the safety of this protected king region, safe zone area. Well, it's kind of safe zone. I don't really know how safe it is. There was nothing hostile there. And I saw some pigs out there, and I have a sword in my hand, so what do? I go and I stick the pig. What does the pig do? He turns around and he kills me.
I told him it's better than the rabbit killing him. So
I know,
at least he's
I got killed by a
upgrading in
rabbit
his
in
life.
one
I
night.
mean, that's fantastic.
My character has no skills whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's just a blob holding a sword.
But to talk about the Dance Revolution thing, I could see Marky being, a Dance Revolution character going up to the pig and saying, "Look what I can do."
And I bust
And
a
he just
move.
sits there and starts dancing, and the pig dies for some reason.
Hammer time! You're out.
Because then you can have a Dance Revolution Matt's interface as well.
Oh my God.
Dancing around to
Okay.
Shoot me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we
I
can
think
have
we're voting not to put that in the game.
a dance off in the game. Yes. So okay. Now the dice thing that Richard brought up. Is that a system, or is that a way of figuring combat stats or skills?
The way
well,
of figuring
basic,
combat results.
basically to do with attacks, because I mean, you roll the dice. If you throw a 6, your sword sometimes gives you a 2 bonus on that, and your armor gives you a -1 on the opposition.
Okay. So this actually falls under skills, I think, and the reason I say that is because in skills. See, we did a bunch of research on this beforehand because we knew we needed to get this really succinct. And skills equals something like damage done, damage deflected, damage calculation. And, based on your skills and other environmental variables. And so like a dice roll would be like an environmental variable.
Random.
And maybe a bit slow as well for the game.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. We're not really coming up with any other systems here that.
Well, I mean, there is other ones out there, but I don't think they're going to go with the whole MMO genre. But I mean, there's MOBA style combat where it's point and click type of vibe to it. There's strategy based like you would do in RTS. There's all of those. Right, but I don't know if those would work in this.
I think they're still freeform and turn-based. So even in the old RTS stuff, a lot of that was turn-based, and in the MOBAs, it's still freeform. You still select which character you're going to hit. You still select what item you're going to use to hit them with, and everything. And it's not turn-based. You don't get to stop and hack on each other.
You give your units an order and they follow it.
Yes, and that is we're going to get into that kind of stuff at a later point as to whether or not you follow the target, whether or not you have to aim and hit them, and stuff like that. We will get into that at a later point. Okay, so if it's really this freeform system, and that's what we're going to use, what should the interface look like?
Ooh,
In my opinion,
that's interesting.
as minimalistic as possible, because you want that immersion. If you are freeform, you're in freeform combat. I brought this up when we talked previously, Marky. Chivalry has a really great freeform medieval combat system, and there is no UI. The only UI they have is their stamina bar at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
That's actually Shroud of the Avatar is going for that as well. They will have 0 items on the screen, unless like your health is affected. Then you might show something about health. But if your health is not having any issues, it doesn't even show.
Exactly. Yeah, and they use cues like when you get hit, your screen turns red or gets desaturated to know that you're damaged. You need to watch out. And I think that goes a long way with just the immersion of pulling the character in or the player in.
That's interesting.
So that's really interesting, because what should the interface look like? It should look like nothing. That's kind of what you're saying.
It also doesn't make sense to have much of an interface. It's not like you're in a tank and you have a targeting rectile, or in a mech where you have like all this data flowing to you. I mean, there's just a certain level of immersion for medieval style gameplay that you really don't really need a lot.
And to be honest, I feel like that's missing. Like this is a niche market. We are catering towards a niche market with an open world, high fantasy, building your own house, creating your own world environment. And with that, I think there's a lot missing out there for that medieval combat. I say chivalry again because that is high medieval, dark fantasy combat. This game can also tap into that if it's done correctly.
Okay, so let me just throw some things out there. Myself, I get nervous about what my health level is, and so if I had an option to always display my health on the screen, I would, even if it was just a little number in the corner. And then I tend to be somebody who, when I get frustrated, and I get frustrated whenever I'm being attacked by surprise, and then I can't think straight, I tend to go for what I can see. And if I can't see anything on the screen, my only choice is to run. But I'm just trying to recall some of the ways I've played some other games. I've put just a few icons on the screen that I commonly used in combat so I could quickly click them with my mouse. But other people would want, keyboard combinations or whatever. That they just automatically know, and they know where the keys are without having to look at the keyboard and can execute things that way.
Well, if you take a look at the standard UI that comes with WoW, with no add-ons or anything like that, it's just one bar that you're talking about there, that it's an oh shit moment. I need to click on this, I need to click on this because I'm dying, or they happen to use their Naga or whatever else it may be, and they can use their buttons on the side of their mouse or whatever. I think that would probably be good. I think with this type of a game, I like what Saint is saying with the whole medieval can't really see anything, really sets the vibe and brings you into the game, but I think it also needs to have something very minimalistic, like 7 days, where it's just got that one bar of maybe 5 or 6 buttons that I can use. I think it needs to have something like that. Maybe not overbearing with a bunch of, maps and UIs and all that other kind of stuff, or give somebody the option. Terra Online gives the option to move your UI however you want. I mean, let us have the option to move stuff around. If I want to put my chat here, or I want to put this here, or whatever, or if I want to disable some stuff, I can disable it.
Yeah.
Let the person customize their own UI. Let them choose what they want. I mean, that's what the whole game is. When you're playing this game, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
In this game, you make this game yourself. Do whatever you want. So why not continue that trend, continue that theme into the UI? You want a bunch of stuff all over your screen and make it look like crap? Okay, that's the way I play my games. If you want, something like what Saint wants, which is nothing, he wants to go in hardcore mode and not see a damn thing, okay, then let him be able to choose that. Have a thing that flashes, like with Call of Duty. Look at Call of Duty. It flashes when you get hit or whatever the heck it may be. Red or something.
Hit marker.
Same idea. Yeah, hit marker kind of a deal where it shows or whatever. That's just my thoughts. I mean, that's my opinion. If I was playing the game, I was building the game, I think that's what I would probably implement into the game myself. I think I would like to see that. Because I'm a big UI guy. I like to put stuff all over the place and make my game look like crap.
Me too.
That's just me, though.
But I like to have a hotkey for it to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. Exactly. Take a screenshot or whatever, right?
You can have both.
Yeah,
you could definitely have both. I think. I
don't
see there's any reason why we can't have both.
Exactly. I mean, all the big MMOs are starting to go down that way. And all they do is when you go into that cinematic mode. If you look at Terra, if you go into that cinematic mode, right in the bottom corner, it puts a little Terra logo on it. Do the same type deal here. Is you go into that no UI type of feel to it. And you want to take a screenshot or whatever. You got the little Neo's Land fainted, watermark right there. I think it works. I think it works very well.
Okay.
But, however, if they do make it so you have multiple ways of doing it, make it so you can enable and disable everything that can be made. Because, like in EVE, there are certain things you cannot disable. You can minimize them, but you can't disable them. And it's really annoying.
Yeah, let the creator of the one that's playing the game do what they want. Give them the ability to do anything that they want with the UI.
Okay.
But I think what Marky also is trying to get at with that question is functionality with the UI rather than just how it looks.
Yes.
What will make it function and work?
Yeah, but we're attracting two different types of people. Like, I like at least a minimal UI on the boards so that I can see, on the screen, so that I can see what's going on, my health, my stamina, my the different spells I could cast immediately. And I prefer to click on them with a mouse. He prefers to do it with a hotkey combination, which is fine. And this way, both sides are satisfied, because I know if I have a hotkey game, I very quickly put it down. I have no interest in hotkeys whatsoever. Just basic. I can tab up to change my spells around, and that's all I really need. And I like the idea of complete customizability, because there are two distinct styles of play with that. And I don't think it's a matter of appearance. I think it's a matter of play style. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I agree. I think that we should be able to edit, and if we can edit, then we can each make it what we want. It may be a little bit more basic in the beginning, but I don't see. I don't see it. I don't see it being an issue for them to put in what we're asking for here, which is I want to clutter the hell out of my play area, or I want to have nothing on it, or I want to have somewhere in between. And I don't think there's any issues with actually getting that done. Go ahead.
There's a link right there that I just linked of an example of what I'm talking about. It's very, very clean. It's very, very minimal. It's Terra Online. As you can see, it's got the your hotbar keys. It's got your big UI at the very top of your health bar, and you can make that big, small, long. This person decided to make it stretch the whole screen. You've got the map that is transparent, and then you've got the mini map, which is up in the corner. Now, every little thing that you see on there, you can move around and put wherever the hell you want. I think that would actually work.
Yeah, I think that is a. I think we can do that. I don't see any reason why we can't do that. And if that's, it's really about what is fun for us, what works.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. The most important thing to remember with all of this is it fun? If it's not fun, then it's a task or it's a chore or it's a job. And what is the benefit of doing it? So
Yeah.
let me ask a couple of questions here and just throw some things out and see if this sparks anything. But with the interface that we're talking about, which is really whatever we want to make it to be, what might be changed or improved?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've talked about putting links, buttons, information on the screen. We've talked about having nothing on the screen, and what could be done to improve that?
Well, other than making it so that you can change like the opaqueness of the item or the color combinations or something. I mean,
Okay.
just complete customizability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because
one-off.
everybody's going to have a different idea of what they want to play with. And I think if you give the players a bunch of different options for customizing the UI interface, you should also give them options for how easily it's hidden, or maybe even a pop-up. Like you have a user interface, like minimal user interface, you can make each part of the user interface pop down. For instance, like you have like a single button at the top that shows where your health and stamina pops down, or health or stamina. And for instance, you take a hit, the bar pops down momentarily to show you how much damage you took.
Mm-hmm.
And having that in where you can like say, okay, I want to make this, I'm going into combat, I want to make this health bar stick on the open position.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like a plus or minus thing, something
Okay.
like that.
What about, let me throw something out there that's outside of the box. What if we could just touch our screen to do things?
You mean like well, you need a touch monitor for that though.
Yeah. They're coming out all over the place now.
That is true. They are becoming popular, and I think it would be that would be an ideal idea for people with a touch monitor. Because I mean, personally, I don't have a touch monitor, and I'm not really needing one. But I would think it would be quite a cool mechanism to be able just to grab your health bar and pull it wherever you want and expand it. Maybe pinch to zoom brings it out.
Mm-hmm. And punch your
then-
monitor when you're mad because you just lost.
Yeah, and then it can have you died text come up on your screen.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Damn
Would-
you! Bam.
Here's the
I think
thing.
that would. I
They
think it
would
would
have
probably
to.
work.
They would have to put that sort of usability in, because this is such a cross-platform game. I mean, you will have people playing this game on iPads.
Well,
So
we'll
you don't
certainly
have a
people
choice.
trying.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is you really don't have a choice.
Mhm.
If you want to be cross-platform supported, and I mean, I would never have a touch screen for my desktop, but if I ever decided to get like, an iPad or something like that, I mean, that would probably be one of the few ways I could actually play the game on an iPad is touch screen.
Can you
It would
also
be interesting because I have a touch screen on my other computer. So
I have a touch screen on this one as well. One of my
Yeah.
monitors is touch.
yeah.
So, although I turned it off because every time I was pointing at something, I accidentally executed something. But
Die!
it was kind of funny. But I was always like, oh hey, yeah, look at this, and oh crap, I didn't mean to run that and close that window.
The touch of God, he executes
Yeah,
whatever he
yeah.
touches.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have profiles, so you have maybe 5 or 6 different setups for your UI.
Mhm.
One for while you're in combat, one for while you're doing resources, one for you just sort of reading stuff or wandering around the house with nothing on your UI, that is. But yeah, so I mean
A
everything.
special
can be
interface for while playing naked.
yeah. So everything can be on and off. You can resize everything. You can make everything transparent. I mean, even the extent
Can we
of
change color?
the color changes. I was going to say that the extent of WoW, where you can add your own graphics to the UI. You have the bars. You can change the color on the bars. You can literally do anything you want with the UI in World of Warcraft. I mean, that would encourage a lot of people to start sort of writing their own programs, their own mods to sort of add the sparkle to it and add their own flavour to it.
Yeah, I was just about to say that there is MMOs out there that allow user content mod for user interface and whatnot. I mean, is that something a road that this MMO is willing to go down? Because it could introduce quite a few unique user interfaces that kind of integrate themselves with what is supplied to them by default.
Well, this is a Unity-based game. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. And it would give.
But the game is going to get all the information anyway. So why not have some that the game is delivered with 3 defaults: a maximum UI, a minimal UI, and no UI, and people can locally in text files can make whatever they want. Like, I want to see this, I want to see that, and I don't want to see this. So it's basically what is happening in World of Warcraft, but also in Half-Life.
Yeah, I think you need to be able to do it with a mouse and be able to size it perfectly rather than trying to judge on text, because that's for a lot of people that's cumbersome and they wouldn't have a clue where to start. So as long as you can literally drag the box, make it bigger, move the box around the screen, change the colour on it maybe directly from a right click, all those customizations, I think if it's not graphical then a lot more people would do it, and if it's text based then I think a lot of people wouldn't have a clue where to start and just give up doing that.
Well,
I mean,
the functionality could write it to a text-based file, because if we want to make all the stuff very moddable by default, it will only take more time for the devs as well. I think it's better to have that kind of customization local. The data is sent to the client anyway, so why not decide local, even maybe through a script which can generate those things for you by you say, by clicking or dragging it with a mouse.
Oh yeah, definitely that could be done, but I mean, as long as you can customize it graphically rather than through text-based, then that will sort of help a lot of the, well, I'd say 90% of the people trying to play around with the UI.
So I wanna put this out there for discussion really quick, Marky, if that's okay. We're talking about functionality in combat, right? We're talking about functionality on the UI. What about, let's say, the person that's colorblind? Or the person, that just
we do have a lot of colorblind
there,
players. Let
exactly.
me say.
Well, you have descriptions, and I mean, colorblind people can still see the shapes, so as long as you've got icons for everything.
And one of the other things is that many people may not know this, but like here in the United States, the signals for traffic signals are always in the same position. And the reason for that is the person who's colorblind, who can't see the difference between red and green, sees the position of the light on there and knows what it is. And so they only have to learn that once, and then they continue on. And so that's another way to address that. But I think that taking people's disabilities into account will be a great thing to do. Is there anything in a combat system that needs to be addressed right now to make sure that we address disabilities before moving forward?
Visual cues. You need visual cues on top of, because what about the general person that's maybe deaf in the left ear?
Well,
right.
so we talked, so it was mentioned like having a log or whatever saying, blow 20 points, type of thing.
If you get
turn that on or off.
If you get hit from the right, then the right hand of your screen flashes up with a little blood stain or something, rather than the whole screen.
But make that something you can turn on and off.
Oh yeah, I think everything that we're talking about needs to be have the ability to have it turned on and off.
Just as long as turning it off doesn't give, or on, well, maybe it will give an advantage. I just don't want to do like, in Infestation, people were turning the grass off and that gave them an advantage. And I don't want to run into anything like that.
Well, let's make the assumption that the UI is going to be an overlay of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
and that the customization of a UI is strictly for the individual player. I mean, if there's something in the environment that you can turn off to get a combat advantage, that's a server-side problem, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is just an overlay for the assistance of the players to allow them to play in a manner that they are comfortable, I don't see where it would be a problem to be able to turn off the blood splatter. I mean, I don't think very many people will turn off the blood splatter because blood splatter is cool and it's helpful to know which direction you're being attacked from. But there will be players who won't want to know. They'll be like, I got to look around and see where this guy is, or oh wait a sec, fireball, point blank range. Oops, we're all dead.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask just a couple more questions here. If the sky were the limit, what might be possible?
Clouds. Okay. Well, I definitely would go with the touchscreen user interface that you said, because that covers the is it fit for purpose with future technology, because it definitely, as you say, touchscreens coming in, and it will definitely be ready and supported. So, and as for the colorblind, I definitely, whoever suggested that, it's something that will definitely need to be in game. And the left and right, I think, really, if you can build a structure that is pretty basic, it can constantly be adapted to if a problem ever arises in the future that we never covered. So the possibilities are unlimited.
Says the programming student.
Well, I mean, that is true though. If you build some...
I'm just saying, pointing out
Yeah.
as a programming student.
Anybody else?
Can you repeat the question again?
If the sky is the limit, what might be possible? Meaning that there's no limits. If there was no limits, what could be dreamed up?
Oh man. All right, let me step on the soapbox for a second. No, I think if sky's the limit for any game, obviously has limits, budget, whatever, and you got to make the best bang for your buck. If sky's the limit for a game like this, where we're all throwing our ideas into a pot, and they're getting pulled out, I think the most engaging combat would be to be a free-form combat that is up and down the board. Like you're attacking a castle, you're sieging a house, whatever it is, it's all free-form and all active real time. Meaning that your strategy, the things that you do on the battlefield are gonna depict if you win or lose. Fighting somebody over a bridge and just baiting them and kicking them off the bridge. Like, these things all have to be taken into consideration when you're thinking about a free-form style of combat. Or what we're thinking of is an action RPG for what we're really talking about here. I mean, you said earlier, you mentioned traps and having booby traps and houses and everything. That really is part of the action RPG format, because if I walk into a house and I come up to a trap, I don't want my game to load into a turn-based card system. I want the person that broke into my house to physically fall into that trap, and I come and just collect his loot later.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I think will make it engaging and make it fun for the player. If I shoot an arrow at you, I want to physically take into account physics, direction, leading the shot. Same thing if I swing a sword. If I'm next to a tree and I overhand or I swing from my right side and the tree's on my right, I'm going to get deflected by the tree. And those are things that if I'm a new player, by naturally just being human, I know, hey, I can hide behind this tree and this guy can't swing at me. And those are the things that come to, and you have to take into account if you're doing an action RPG system. And that would be like, sky's the limit. I want all that in.
Okay.
I concur.
Okay, let me ask a question here where you're all going to say, WTF. What might be simplified substituted, combined, adapted, magnified, minified, put to other uses, eliminated, or rearranged?
Yes.
57.
Are you rapping?
Would you like me to say it faster?
Please.
3 times.
What might be simplified, substituted, combined, adapted, magnified, minified, put to other uses, eliminated, or rearranged?
I want to change my answer.
Can I use a hotline, please? Just
Phone a friend.
Can I phone a friend?
Was that too deep, too complex?
My brain is jelly right now after that.
Okay.
It's just went by.
I think it's just too general a question.
Okay.
For where we're at right now, it's too general a question.
Okay. Well, let me ask another general question. What sights, sounds, feelings, tastes, or smells might be used or changed?
We're still talking about combat, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, sights and sounds. I mean, if I want it to be able to react with my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm cutting down a tree, I mean, it comes back to that, you know, that question: if a tree falls in a forest, does anybody hear it? Well, yes, people do hear it if there's other people around. You know, if there's mobs around, they're going to hear that tree. If it's a really big tree, it's going to make a bigger noise. If it's a really small tree, it's probably not going to make as much noise. You know, if I'm shooting an arrow, I'm not going to have as much effect if I'm shooting a gun. You know, if I'm using my steel sword against something that is metal, it's obviously going to make more noise than if I'm hitting against wood. You know, I want it to be able to be reactive of my actual surroundings for sound. Taste and smell and all that kind of stuff, I'm not really too much. I mean, maybe the horse dung might attract zombies or something. I don't know. you know.
Could use the smell in game as a mechanic for tracking. Maybe. Let's say, remember when we're talking about bounty hunting, how you have to go up the skill tree and learn how to track. Well, that can also be used in game as your character. Like, you know, we can just as going as crazy as out there saying, hey, you know, let's add a bathroom mechanic, and if you don't go to the bathroom for like 3 days, I can easily track you in the woods because I can smell you. Like,
oh God.
You know, like you could go anywhere with that. But I mean, it's fine tuning it into the game is what really matters.
I think.
Oh, the sky's the limit. I mean.
Yeah, I think sound-wise, if a tree falls, I mean, it's mainly to do with, say, a battle. If there's a battle in the woods somewhere, and you're coming up close to it, you need to be able to, with the sound, be able to judge how far away you are from that battle, or how far away that tree's fallen. If you hear some orcs screaming and shouting, having a party or whatever, you can tell how far away it is by the sound that you hear.
And in which direction?
That area. And which direction it is as well. So I think that, I mean, a lot of games, yes, they have the sounds, but you've got to be either very close to hear it, or like in 7 Days to Die, you can chop a tree halfway across the map and hear it.
Yeah.
Well, that's they just haven't finished that yet.
Yeah. So,
that's their alpha build, but yeah.
That needs to. I think that could be an option to have that in there, so you can, if you're tracking someone or you come up to get some orcs, a little text bar says, "Oh, you have the pungent smell of orcs in local vicinity," so you can tell that whether hang on a minute, there's some orcs around, I've got to be careful, or you hear a clutch or some hooves or something either in the distance somewhere, and you know which direction you can then head towards to try and get some food. Maybe sight-wise, if you're in battle, then and you're hitting something and you're losing damage, then you have blood splatters or you have open wounds on your body which you can see. So then when you heal yourself, those wounds close up, or you get a bandage on there for a certain amount of time until you maybe half an hour where it's completely healed up, and then the bandage just disappear. So sort of the effect of the damage that's actually happened to you is actually sort of visibly seen on your body or on the target's body.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think those are good ideas.
What if NeoJack created a USB-powered pump which splats blood every time you make a very gruesome kill?
I think that I'm going to wear an old shirt when I play because
sky's the limit. He says
I'm going to wreck one every time. Yeah.
I like the idea of smell being in the game, not necessarily as you being able to smell the orcs, but like there being some notification.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea. I like that.
Some sort of notification, and also if you're dealing with sound, there should also be an environmental factor for reducing sound. So
Like
if a tree falls in a woods, you're only going to hear it for a certain distance. If you are in combat in a dungeon and you're in tunnels, sound doesn't travel as far, or it may echo weirdly.
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that would be feasible.
Well, that's certainly something that that they can look at. And I also there is one game that had a tactile touch to it. It's kind of different, but it was a pinball machine called Whirlwind. And
Played it? Great game.
Yep. Whenever you hit certain things, there was a big fan on the top of it that turned on and started blowing on you. And yeah, I always wanted to buy one of those and put a leaf blower up in there.
Oh, Jesus.
And then place it out someplace and put a video camera on it. I thought that would be very funny. Anyway, okay, so that's the end of this episode. We have we've kind of gone way into the combat systems. Really, freeform looks to be the only way to go. And then we talked about interface, and we really want the ability to edit it and make it into what we each need and want, whether that's nothing or cluttered. And so those are the recommendations going out to them. We will evaluate with them in another episode here very shortly, not today, but tomorrow, and actually go over the details of whether or not that stuff can be done, and then also talk about what they will solidify that will be when we get in the game. What is this going to look like? So hang on, everybody. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. In just a few minutes, we're going to start another episode. We're actually going to talk about combat skills next. And if you're watching on YouTube, you just have to wait for the next episode. Be right back, everybody.